Okay, we back again for part two of this video. We're gonna do some really good examination. The Sons of the Stone presents the righteous judgment of Yahuah part two. Oh, I'm kind of excited about this. I love it though because well, let's get started with this. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. As we progress in our exploration of judgments, it becomes clear that they are essential. Observing the current state of the world highlights their importance. Many assume that the Old Testament is no longer relevant, but a closer examination reveals its righteousness and enduring truth. Moving forward, we will analyze and try to understand what leads some to consider these judgments outdated, while others recognize their lasting validity. So we're going to look at this because it's amazing how you run into people and they just, oh boy, somebody got a lot of explaining to do. So it's just really sad. But as we go through this, and then I realize most people don't even really even try to even read the Old Testament. Because if you did, this stuff is so plain. Even without the spirit, you could just see the justice in them. You could see the trueness in them. You could see all the righteousness in them. Because it's nothing but fairness. So, and then we know judgments are good because they make everything straight. And then even after your judgment comes, right? Because your judgments can come on the earth, right? Your chastisement. Once that happens, guess what? Now you can repent and keep it moving. If Yah's that merciful to you. Let's keep looking at this thing here. So the first thing we have to do is know the rules, right? The rules, the instructions, Torah, right? Commandments. Only his true servants will receive the gift of his kingdom. And you will not receive the gift of this kingdom unless you know the rules. Let's keep moving. So, Exodus 21 and 1. Now these are the rules or the judgments that you shall set before them. When you buy a Hebrew servant, he shall serve 6 years, and in the seventh he shall go free for nothing. If he comes in single, he shall go out single. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with him. Now, this was a thing where this was truly love because why? Here it is, your farm had problems that year, or for the last 2 or 3 years, you in trouble. Now you can go to your kinfolk, one of your cousins, or one of your Hebrew brothers or sisters and say, listen, I'm in trouble. Okay, I tell you what, we'll make a deal. You work for me as the law states, and then, I'm gonna give you room and board. You're gonna get paid because you're not a bond servant. So I'm gonna make sure that you. So and then when you leave here, I'm gonna take care of you. I'm not gonna send you away empty-handed. So this helps this person get back on their feet. Right? The Hebrew word avidah can refer to persons owned by fellow men. Right? From the root derived from the verb. Uh-oh, come on now, don't do this to me. Abad, right? Meaning to work or to serve. H number 5647. So you like a hired servant, a hired worker from one of your fellow Hebrews or one of your kinfolks, right? All right, let's keep it moving. There we go. So remember thy congregation which thou hast purchased of old, the rod of thine inheritance which thou hast redeemed, this Mount Zion wherein thou hast dwelt. Covenant redemption. See, so we can even see how we was purchased, right? Okay. It means so to buy, right? To get, acquire, create, buy, possess, redeem. So it's no different. Same type of concept. How Mashiach redeemed us, right? Yahuwah Elohim redeemed us from Israel. And we supposed to be his servants, right? So, Deuteronomy 24:7. If someone is caught kidnapping a fellow Israelite and treating or selling them as a slave, the kidnapper must die. You must purge the evil from among you. So, we're not supposed to do this to our own people. We're not supposed to hold our people in bondage in any kind of way. Money. I mean, it's just so many ways you can look at this, right? Leviticus 25:39. If any of your fellow Israelites become poor and sell themselves to you, do not make them work as a slave. So we see that even if this person needed help, yes, you're supposed to help them, but we're supposed to help them with love. We're not supposed to, like, again, make them out of a slave, right? Because we always supposed to remember when we were slaves and when we was in captivity as strangers in Egypt. Exodus 21:16. Anyone who kidnaps someone is to be put to death, whether the victim has been sold or is still in the kidnapper's possession. So we see so a lot of these things happen to us in all these different captivities that we've been into, right? Especially in America and everywhere else that Esau is in charge of. Same situation. These people must be put to death, and they will by the hand of Yahuah, right? So if his master has given him a wife and she has borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her masters. Somebody asked me, man, how could that be? Because that's his wife, and but the master gave him one of his, or I mean, not one of his wives. Forgive me for that, because it's a lot of brothers out here with this problem with these 80 million wives. But the thing is, she was his property, right? And he shall go out by himself. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go free. So here it is. This master gave him a gift. That's his gift to either let her leave with him or she can stay with him. Either way, that's his property. You see? And so let's keep moving. Exodus 20:6. Then his master shall bring him to the Yahuah, and he shall bring him to the door of the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall be his slave forever. So we can liken this to our covenant with Yahusha, because that's what we're saying. When we accepted this thing, when we got immersed, that's the same thing as like it's a covenant. It's the same thing as like boring our ear through, saying we belong to you forever. You see, because we love our master. He treats us good. He makes sure we have everything that we need. He protects us. So no, I don't want to go back out in the world. I want to be with you. Same thing, no different, right? So we see that this, when you bore the ear, it also means that you're willing to hear and obey, right? And we know this it's a covenant because there's cutting and there's blood spilled. Simple recipe, right? Shadow pictures of Hamashiach and our servitude to him. We are covenant made because of the skin that is cut and the shedding of blood. And also the servant promises to hear and do all the master says. That's what's being said. And then we see here it is the shadow picture, Psalms 40:6, sacrifice and offering thou did not desire, mine ears hast thou opened. Burnt offerings and sin offering hast thou not required. But he said, mine ears hast thou opened. Right? So let's look at this. K-Ra, to dig, make, to pierce, to open. And we know that Hamashiach was pierced. And we know that Hamashiach told us all the words that he speaks does not come from him, but it comes from the Father. He said all the works that his Father does, he does the same thing. It's all there. We just got to take our time and do a little research. Let's look at this one. Exodus 21:7-11. When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the male such slaves do. If she does not please her master who has designated her for himself, he shall let her be redeemed. He shall have no right to sell her to a foreign people, since he has broken faith with her. Now, again, this word slave is not a bond servant. If he designates her for his son, he shall deal with her as with a daughter. If he takes another wife to himself, he shall not diminish her food, her clothing, or her marital status, her marital rights. And if he does not do these three things for her, he shall go out, she shall go out for nothing without payment of money. Because guess what? That's the judgment. And again, he's not being righteous. Now, this part up here says if he does not please her. Again, I've heard these arguments from these sick minded people. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why Israel, every time it's between a man and a woman, it's always a problem like this. Everything has to be sexual. I mean, if this man is keeping the commandments and this woman is not keeping the Sabbath, she's not a virtuous woman. Oh, she wouldn't please me either. But it's not ain't got nothing to do with the sex thing because we know if we walking in covenant, I can't touch this woman until we get married. Right? Let's keep and even if I look at it from that sense, I still can't diminish anything from her. Anything from her. Right? This title does not imply a formal engagement or marriage. It's established specific expectations from her family, but it does not indicate any sexual involvement. If he married her and she failed to satisfy him, her family had the option to repurchase her. Typically, in such cases, she would then be relegated to the status of a concubine with marital rights. So he might not never go into her again ever. But if she's relegated to a concubine status, then I mean, it doesn't mean he wants. She's just his. She belongs to him, but he still has to take care of her, right? Back in the day with so many Hebrews. They wanted all these wives or all these different things. The wives out there working hard. He's sitting at home. Oh man, that's not even. That's not it. That's not lawful. If the master designates her for himself, in other words, intends to marry her, but later finds her displeasing, because guess what? She's full of pagan idolism, he must not treat her as a mere property. He still can't treat her as mere property. Right? This verse is part of the larger passage dealing with the protection of a Hebrew maidservant sold by her father. It's not about slavery or exploitation. It's about covenantal responsibility, marital intention, and redemptive justice. Because here it is, the father he might have needed the money. He might okay, I can't take care of her. I can't feed her. See, I mean times back then wasn't like times now. Well, you can go to the grocery store and you got everything you needed. I mean, even when I was a kid, you went down south. Man, they had cows, chickens, and all kind of stuff, and that's what they raised to eat. Let's keep it moving. Instead, he must allow her to be redeemed, restoring her freedom and dignity. He cannot sell her to foreigners, violating covenantal kinship. If she designates her for his son, she must be treated as a daughter. Right? Verse 10, if he marries another, he must still provide her food, clothing, and marital rights. So let's keep rolling. Exodus 21 and 8. And its surrounding verses establish a covenantal boundary that protects the dignity of the woman and restrains the master's authority. He cannot simply take her sexually and then discard her at will. Let's walk through the layers. Can't do it like that. But I know cats that's running around doing this, humbling his sister for a year or so. I didn't get rid of her. You can't do that. Getting with this one for a year or so. I don't like the way she did this, so you get rid of her. No, no. Key verse: who has designated her for himself? Designates her for himself. In other words, intends to marry her. This signals intent to marry, not mere ownership. Once designated, she enters a covenantal status, not a slave, but a bride in waiting. Key phrase, if she does not please him. Hebrew, right? Ra'ah, benai, or anai, you'll see that, displeasing in his eyes, right? Ayin or whatever. We're going to get to it. So Ra'ah, H number 7200, to see, regard, consider, judgment, evaluation, right? And Ayin, in the eyes of personal evaluation. Real simple. So her marital rights. If he takes another wife to himself, he shall not diminish her food, her clothing, or her marital rights. And I know it seems like I'm taking a lot of time on this, but I know I've gotten feedback from this before. I've gotten pushback from it. Also, food and shelter and intimate time. This is what this is saying. He cannot diminish any of these things because that's her right. And we're going to get an example of this. Jacob, Leah, and Rachel. Jacob served Laban 7 years apiece for both. Jacob had children with Leah and Rachel. He loved Rachel more than Leah, but did not diminish Leah's rights, because that was a sister that was battling back and forth, and then even going out and getting these sorceress mandrakes to feed him, so that he for the desired thing to happen. Right? It's all there. Let's look at some more. Exodus 21:12. Whoever strikes a man so that he dies shall be put to death. See, but we don't have that running around here anymore. Get killed depends on what color they are. That's the truth. What nationality, whether you're going to do life in prison or a couple of years. But no, you should be put to death. And the orange man said he's getting ready to put that back on the table, and it should be. But if he did not lie in wait for him, but guess what? Sometimes Yahuwah let him fall into his hands. So again, Yahuwah always passes judgment. Maybe this was something that he did that was so terrible, he let him fall into another man's hands for judgment, for Yahuwah to pass judgment. Then I will appoint for you a place to which he may flee. Right? Because this is he's doing my work. That's what the Father said. Because this brother was so wicked, he was so evil, he had to be put to death. So guess what? Even though it's because he didn't wait for him. He didn't lie for him. He wasn't in wait. He didn't ambush this brother. Yahuwah put in his mind to deal with this wicked person. So and since he was obedient to Yahuwah, guess what Yahuwah is going to do? And among the cities which you shall give unto the Levites, there shall be 6 cities for refuge, which you shall appoint for the manslayer, that he may flee thither, and to them you shall add 40 and 2 cities. Now sometimes me and brother, one of the other elders could be out in the field, out in the garden, doing some planting or digging ditches. I lift up my pickaxe, and guess what? The handle flies off and hit the other elder in the head. That was by mistake. So I already know if his family ain't walking in truth, and sometime even if they is, guess what? It's gonna be a problem. So Yahuwah said, okay, listen, we're gonna go ahead and get you out of here and have a safe place, because he sees that. And as we get through these judges and judgments and the elders, we're gonna see what kind of spirit they had on them, so that they was able to the Ruach was giving them power to discern these things as they did their investigation. It's the same thing here. I mean, except you don't have no refuge now, but they still tape off the area and they still do the investigation. But this is how merciful Yah is. So, in order to keep his people safe from injustice, Yahuwah required of Moses that the Levites should keep 6 cities out of the 48 they had been allocated as places of asylum for those who had been accused of manslaughter, that they may be legally protected from those wishing to avenge them until they could come to trial. Numbers 30, when they got to the trial, the elders was there filled with the Ruach. So there was no escape. It wasn't, I mean, it was truth. Truth was coming out. Not like today when you have trials and people ain't thinking about no Ruach. They ain't righteous, right? We see the outcome of what happens, right? Somebody get on stage, stand and lie, convince these people, and all of a sudden you in prison and you ain't did nothing. They ain't had to worry about that then, because the judges or the elders was filled with the Ruach. They would see what Yah would show them what really happened. When a situation arose where an individual unintentionally killed someone, the perpetrator was to flee to one of these 6 cities of refuge. Once arrived, they were to stand in front of the gate and plead their cause to the elders of the city, who were required to admit the fugitive inside their gates and offer them asylum. Because once they got there and they started pleading their case, the spirit was going to tell them whether they was lying or not. It's a lot of good stuff, man, in this Old Testament. I don't. This is all. This is what. This is all the meat. The New Testament ain't nothing but honey, honey, milk, and bread. This is the meat right here. And if anyone, this is from the LXX Septuagint, if anyone lie in wait for his neighbor to slay him by craft, and he go for refuge, thou shalt take him from my altar to put him to death. There ain't see there's no protection for him. Let's see what y'all talking about for this. Because he lied in wait. The altar of Yahuah was ordinarily a place of refuge. But if the person was a cold-blooded killer, Yahuah provided no protection for him. Even in cases of extreme evil, no protection was provided. How do we know that? Okay, we got to go get the example. Look at your boy. 1 Kings 2:28, when the news reached Joab, who had conspired with Adonijah, but not with Absalom, he fled to the tent of Yahuah and took hold of the horns of the altar. It was reported to King Solomon, Joab has fled to the tent of Yahuah, is now beside the altar. So Solomon sent Benaniah, son of Jehoiada, saying, go strike him down. But we know that we know the story, right? So let's look at the LXX verse 21 and 15. Whoever smites his father or his mother, let him be certainly put to death. King Jimmy don't say it like that, but it's like for sure. But we see people killing their mamas, killing their kids, killing their grandparents now, all these type of things. And then now with this thing, they know they can do it. They'll be out the next day or two. They'll get a bond, and then guess what? The charge gonna get downgraded. But see, if the judgment was here, it would make it more stronger. Like, man, do I need to do this? Because I already know the judgment. You see? Let's keep moving. Oh, God, man, this stuff is so beautiful. It's unbelievable. But you had these kids now that's out of control. Most people is terrified of these youngins. Right? Kids talking back to their parents, but then they took whooping your children off the table. So now you got to hear you as a grown man. This is a 16-year-old kid, and you got to try to reason with him. No wonder the world is out of control, and no wonder Donald Trump is getting ready to send down all these black communities. People don't like to hear it, but those that stuck in them places, they happy for it. It's the ones that grants are getting cut off and all these different organizations that they get money from the government that they never use to help nobody with. That's what the other part of the spectrum is where we don't think we should need him down here. They just need to send us money. Of course, because that's what they've been doing. Throwing money at the problem that they know is never going to get solved. And it's set up that way, even by our own people. See, Deuteronomy 21. If a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father, son, you're not keeping the Sabbath with his son. Where was that on the feast day, son? You know you can't bring that in his house, right? Because the father's walking. This is what this is showing, that the father is walking in the commandments. The son is rebellious to the father's commands or the voice of even his mother, and that when they have chastened him, will not hearken unto them. Then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him and bring him out unto the elders of the city and into the gate of his place. And they shall say unto the elders of the city, this is our son, is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. And all the men of the city shall stone him with stones that he die. So shalt thou put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. But no, what did the parents do now? He was a good boy. He never bothered nobody. All his life he helped the homeless and he did this and that. And you go down to public records and pull this joker's file. He got 4 or 5 pages of crime. Half the time she don't even know where he at. You understand? I mean, it's just, and that's why I think they ought to hold these parents responsible for what their kids do. That's what I think. But then again, it's like, Elder Saul, you always on something crazy. I'm just saying, because I get tired of these little jokers myself, and I ain't scared of them. So I let them know I ain't afraid of them. Let's keep moving. But I got to use wisdom too, because I know they will kill you. Now let's keep it rolling. Examine the state of your community. There are two main issues at play. The first is a deficiency in responsibility. The parents were to be to educate their children from an early age about Yahuah and the expectations associated with that. It would significantly address the problem. And two, currently, we observe troubling instances of disorder among youth and show little respect for life or death. We all know this. If I'm a liberal or living out in Lewiston, that might not be reality to me. But here I am in downtown, living on the east side of Buffalo. Trust me, I know what this means. I'm in Chicago. I'm in Memphis. I'm in New Orleans. I'm in Atlanta. I'm in Houston. I know this. That's not even no doubt in my mind. Let's keep moving. Isaiah 3 and 5, and the people will be oppressed. We see that each one by another. See the people saying we can't even walk down the street at night. We can get in our cars. We got to be looking around for we might get carjacked. The bullets coming through, killing my daughter, my kid in the back seat. I mean, it just goes on and on. And each one by his neighbor. The boy will be arrogant and insolent toward the elder. We see that young folk be like, man, shut your ass up, old man. And the vulgar comment toward the honorable person of rank. So they don't care who you are. You the police, you an official, it doesn't matter. You got some type of title, you getting disrespected too. And they tell you, go ahead and give me, go ahead and run them pockets. And matter of fact, go ahead and strip down butt naked. And we gonna let you run off. And they still shoot you. Man, come on now. It just is what it is. But we can see how this was be is absolutely true. We see these videos on YouTube with these folks, police, they already know that's the thing that killed me. I'm talking maybe a little bit too much on this video, but I don't care. That's the thing that kills me. You know your license is suspended. You know that I mean, you ain't got no insurance on the car. You know that you was supposed to went to court 4 months ago, so you know you got a warrant on you. And I watch some of these videos on YouTube. You can always tell when something is wrong. Because guess what? You already know when they dirty, when they can't just take they never have no ID, nothing. Who does that? Somebody that's a criminal or somebody that's just feeling like they can do what they want to. Because remember, these children have been raised without any discipline. And they're used to calling the shots. They're used to getting their way. So this is why they act out like this. Because now you're trying to take away my authority. It's real simple. We can very well see Yahuwah's word is always right and true. Right? Murders, carjackings, etc., etc. These jokers 12, 13, 14 years old. When I was 14 years old, I was playing basketball, I'm playing organized baseball, football, all these type of things. I wasn't even thinking about no gun unless it was hunting season. We was going to get a deer. Man, for Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen because their tongue and their doings are against Yahuwah to provoke the eyes of his glory. And we see this, and it's rampant. It's rampant. Let's look at another way. Verse 16. Whoever steals a man and sells him, and anyone found in possession of him shall be put to death. Now, why y'all keep talking about the same thing? Because he know how horrendous this captivity was and is. Whosoever curses his father or his mother shall be put to death. So it's all about obedience. But then they took the fathers out of our community a long time ago out of the household. And a woman is impossible for a woman to raise a man. Even when you see these success stories of these football players, or they still had a strong male presence in their life. That's needed. That's needed. Some cultures, when a boy turns 13, 12 years old, they take him away from them. He won't see the mother again until he's like 21 years old. But he goes and stays in the village with the men so they can teach him how to be a man, how to hunt, how to fish, how to protect all these things. And they instill in him responsibility of community and family. And this is another thing that's missing because of the law of Yahuwah is taken away. That's why we in the condition we in. And it's plain to see. Let's keep moving as we look at these judgments. I love this. Verse 18, when men quarrel and one strikes the other with a stone or with his fists, and the man does not die, but takes to his bed. Then, if the man rises again and walks outdoors with his staff, he who struck him shall be clear. Only he shall pay for the loss of his time and shall have him thoroughly healed. So that means he's taking care of all his doctor bills. They got into a fight. He didn't kill him, but guess what? He hurt him pretty bad. The man gets up. Now he's responsible because guess what? In Israel, we wasn't supposed to be raising our hand toward each other. We weren't supposed to do that. So you can't tell me this is not lawful. Because even today, the next thing he go gets a lawyer. Now, guess what? You got to pay all his hospital bills. I mean, this is like elementary stuff. Verse 20: When a man strike his slave, male or female, with the rod, and the slave dies under his hand, he shall be avenged. Well, so a whole lot of us got killed this way, but never got avenged. But if the slave survives a day or two, he is not to be avenged, for the slave is his property, is his money. When men strive together, now again, this is not talking about brethren, because again, by the commandments, we're not supposed to raise our hand to each other. And Israel had other slaves, right? Other nations. When men strive together and hit a pregnant woman, so that her children come out, but there is no harm. The one who hit her shall surely be fined, and the woman's husband shall impose on him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. So two men get in a fight, and the pregnant woman, see, Yah is always clear. And again, he's always righteous. Now let's keep moving. Look at this LXX, the same of chapter 20, verse 22. And if two men strive and smite a woman with a child, and her child be born imperfectly formed, he shall be forced to pay a penalty, and the woman's husband may lay upon him, he shall pay with a valuation. Mm-hmm. All right, let's keep moving. Because you don't call this woman a miscarriage or whatever. It's a price that has to be paid. But they was fighting. Maybe she jumped in the middle of it, something like that, you know? Because women do that a lot. You see people fighting, and the book tells you, like, if you see a husband and a wife fighting, you ain't supposed to get in the middle of that. Let's keep moving. Let's look at verse 23 through 27. But if there is harm, then you shall pay life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. Burn for burn, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. When a man strikes the eye of his slave, male or female, and destroys it, he shall let the slave go free because of his eye. If he knocks out the tooth of his slave, male or female, he shall let the slave go free because of his tooth. So we know we should have been freed. A whole lot of us should have been freed a long time before the fake Emancipation Proclamation. But you see this? So Yah, but see again, when the Mashiach came and expounded on this, but he made it even stronger. You see, he made it even stronger because he already told you that you're looking at hellfire, right? So again, but if it was this way, look at all the peace we would have all over the world, or just even in our own community. Now let's look at this. When an ox gores a man or a woman to death, the ox shall be stoned, and his flesh shall not be eaten. But the owner of the ox shall be not be liable, right? But the owner of the ox shall not be liable. Now let's watch this. You say, well, hold on, man, how is that fair? But if the ox has been accustomed to gore in the past, and its owner has been warned, but has not kept it in, and it kills a man or a woman, the ox shall be stoned, and its owner also shall be put to death. So we see that accidents happen. It's around farm. I mean, you're on the farms, things like that. Anybody that's ever been around animals, I'm glad that I was when I was a kid. When we had to go get Papa sent us out there to go bring the cows in. The cows sometimes they make different. You get too close to them, they make swing his head around and stick you. You know what I mean? But if this animal had a history of this, then guess what? It's going to be a problem. If a ransom is imposed on him, then he shall give for the redemption of his life whatever is imposed on him. Because he's trying to redeem his life. If it gores a man's son or a daughter, he shall be dealt with according to the same rule. If the ox gores a slave, male or female, the owner shall give to their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned. Can you find anything wrong with that? If you can, please email me or however you, because I don't know. These things been, what they say, the comments been cut off from day one because I really don't even care about all that. I just, y'all know whoever comes up here constantly, y'all know why I do this. This is part of my work. I don't worry about who watches and how many. I don't care about that. But whoever gets it is supposed to get it. Praise Yah. Let's look at verse 33. When a man opens a pit, or when a man digs a pit and does not cover it, and an ox or a donkey falls into it, the owner of the pit shall make restoration. He shall give money to its owner, and the dead beast shall be his. Because he dug the pit, right? That the animal fell in, you got to pay the man for it, and you keep the dead animal. This is so righteous, it's unbelievable. Verse 35 through 36. When one man's ox butts another, so that it dies, then they shall sell the live ox and share its price, and the dead beast also they shall share. So here it is. They done shared everything because it's two animals striving. Or if it is known that the ox has been accustomed to gore in the past, and his owner has not kept it in, he shall repay ox for ox, and the dead beast shall be his. If you can't get no fairer than that. I don't see what the problem is. They sharing the price of the ox and they sharing the meat. But if he had a problem with this and you was negligent, like sometimes you be walking down the street, you know these people got a dog named King. He always loose and he always biting people. And they know he biting people because every time he bites somebody, when you go to try to get the law, guess what? They always move to a different place so you can't find them. I mean, this, but guess what? Wherever they move, King still get loose, and they know it, but they refuse to either put King on a leash, on a chain or whatever, or put him down, because he got a problem with this. And this stuff is real simple. This is like some little fifth grade, chapter 22 and 1. If a man steals an ox or a sheep and kills it or sells it, he shall repay 5 oxen for an ox, and 4 sheep for a sheep. If a thief is found breaking in and is struck so that he died, there shall be no blood guilt for him. But guess what? You ain't got no business breaking in nobody's house. But if the now, let's look at the LX2. It says, but if the sun be risen upon him, he is guilty. He shall die instead. And if a thief have nothing, let him be sold in compensation for what he has been stolen. I still can't see nothing wrong and nothing wrong with this, right? So, and if the thing stolen be left and be in his hand alive, whether ox or sheep, he shall restore them twofold. State of being guilty of murder or bloodshed. That's what that means when he's saying blood guilt. But again, and then they had some different, you'll read some different things in the encyclopedia, say, well, if the sun was up, that was a different story because they if they knew the thief, then they shouldn't kill him. You understand what I'm saying? But y'all's making us so we can protect ourselves. You in your house at night, and somebody break in, you supposed to go ahead and deal with them. But people don't know this because they don't understand none of the judgments. Yahuah's judgments are very fair. I mean, so far I can't see nothing that's wrong. I mean, every instance he covers because he know how crazy people is. Now let's look at Uriah's only sheep in David. If a man steals an ox or a sheep and kills it or sells it, he shall repay 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. This is well known in Israel. 2 Samuel 12, David burned with anger against the man and said to Nathan, as surely as Yahuwah lives, the man who did this deserves to die, because he has done this thing and has shown no pity. He must pay for the lamb 4 times over. I mean, so this was known all throughout Israel. Then Nathan said to David, you are that man. This is what Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel, says. I anointed you king over Israel, and I delivered you from the hand of Saul. We know the rest. But again, we see even the king, because again, the king had to have the law book right next to the throne, and he was supposed to be studying that day and night like the rest of us. So David right away knew what, I mean, he knew the law. He knew the judgment for it. if you took the one man's sheep. Let's keep moving. Verse 5, if a man causes a field or vineyard to be grazed over, or lets his beast loose and it feeds in another man's field, he shall make restitution from the best in his own field and in his own vineyard. Because guess what? He lazy. He ain't out there doing the farm stuff. Now he done let instead of controlling the animals, so okay, y'all eat over here for this many months. Then we let the grass grow over here and move them over here so they can graze. That's how it's supposed to go. Again, only because I was a kid when my mother used to send us down south in the summertime on farms. So we knew this. But again, but now here it is. Not only is I mean, in other words, you a lazy farmer. Now you don't open the gate so they can go out there and eat in the next man's pasture. What he gonna feed his animals? So he got to make restitution from the best in his own field and in his own vineyard. He got to repay. Let's look at this one. If fire breaks out and catches in thorns so that the stacked grain of the standing grain or the field is consumed, he who started the fire shall make full restitution. Because we know farmers put their grains and their hay and all that roll up in the barn for the animals to eat in the wintertime. Now he ain't got nothing. So does the person just get away with it? No, he has to pay. Man, oh man, this is crazy. Verse 7 through verse 10. If a man give to his neighbor money or goods to keep safe, and it is stolen from the man's house, then if the thief is found, he shall pay double. If the thief is not found, the owner of the house shall come near to Yahuah to show whether or not he has put his hand to his neighbor's property. When he said near to Yahuah, he's talking about he's going to come to the elders that have the spirit of Yahuah on it. We're going to show you that before the series out if you just hang out with us, for the ones that always hang out. For every breach of trust, whether it is for an ox, for a donkey, for a sheep, for a cloak, or for any kind of lost thing, of which one says, this is it, the case of both parties shall come before Yahuah. The one whom Yahuah condemns shall pay double to his neighbor. If a man gives to his neighbor a donkey or an ox or a sheep or any beast to keep safe, and it dies or is injured or is driven away without anyone seeing it. All right? An oath by Yahuah shall be between them both to see whether or not he has put his hand to his neighbor's property. See, this is an oath promised by swearing. The owner shall accept the oath, and he shall not make restitution. But if it is stolen from him, he shall make restitution to his owner. If it is torn by beast, let him bring it as evidence. He shall not make restitution for what has been torn. Because it's like, I'm telling you, I know your animal, but this is what happened. I'm taking an oath and a promise to say, I'm swearing that this is what happened. If a man borrow anything of his neighbor, and it is injured or dies, the owner not being with it, he shall make full restitution, because that was your responsibility to watch over that animal. If the owner was with it, he shall not make restitution. If it was hired, it came for its hiring fee. So if it was a cow that was out there plowing and it fell dead, man, the cow was gonna die anyway. So it's not any. It should not be no restitution made. But as we see, Yah gives us examples because the Israelites were so wicked and evil that and they just had so much hatred and all these other things in their mind. He had to break. In other words, the 10, we just because y'all just don't seem to understand that. So now I got to put all these others. I mean, I got to put these judgments in place, breaking the statutes. I mean, whatever. I got to explain everything to you. Let's keep moving. Now, 22 and 16, if a man seduce a virgin who is not betrothed and lies with her. Now, watch this. So we already know that this man, again, we always got to look at what's being said, and we got to look at the mindset of the person. Because even if she wasn't betrothed, he still was supposed to go to her father, or if she only have a mother, whoever the elders are, he was supposed to go to her and ask for her hand. Not to seduce her and lay with her. So we already know he's not a covenant keeper. He shall give the bride price. So now he done did this for her and make her his wife. It did not say rape. He seduced the virgin. For if her father utterly refuses to give her to him, he shall pay money equal to the bride price for virgins. So let's look at this. Because we know that this still happens today. Let's look at it. Strong's H6601 Brown driver brig definition is to entice, to deceive, to persuade, right? Can imply flattery, enticement, or coaxing into vulnerability, right? Because we see this happen so many times. Examples: young girl run away from home. She out here on her own, and they find her at the bus stop, and we know Jake the Snake is right there waiting on her. Or like you see these older guys with they got money and whatever, and they entice these girls. This has been going on forever. It's not nothing new. So 18 through 20, you shall not permit a sorceress to live. That's these dope boys. They supposed to die. Whoever lies with an animal shall be put to death. There's something wrong with that, but we know people do it because bestiality. Whoever sacrifices to any el other than Yahuah alone shall be devoted to destruction. Right? So when you calling on these other guys, these other els, and you running around and practicing what they giving you, yeah, well, you devoting yourself to destruction because the judgment again. This class is about judgment. Judgments are coming. But if we did this, guess what? Then you wouldn't have the break-ins. You wouldn't have all these problems because folks ain't strung out on crack or they ain't strung out on meth. Right? The alcohol situation would even be the same. And then we see our friendly friend over here, the pharmacist. They ain't nothing but drug dealers. Because I asked the guy one time, I said, well, man, maybe you should try this holistic. Man, I don't need that, man. My doctor said this, blah, blah, blah. How long you been taking them pills? 10 years. And you ain't healed yet? It's a money thing. We know the doctors, how they just prescribe. Look how they did with the opioid. They just prescribe people. It's about money. Whether they call it legal or they call it illegal, it's still you a pharmacist, you a sorcerer. In Yah's eyes, you call it what you want. Because he told us the herbs of the field are supposed to be for healing. And the way we follow his dietary law keeps us away from a lot of problems too. So let's look at this here. Pharmakia, G number 5331. The use or the administration of drugs, ministering of drugs, poisoning, sorcery, magical arts often found a connection with adultery and fostered by it. Metaphor, the deceptions and seductions of idolatry. Now, I'm not innocent. I've sold drugs before in my life too. And but I just seeing what it was doing to the people. Right? And then I even end up getting poisoned by him too. So y'all show me the full spectrum of what it is when you killing somebody else, you killing your community. And now all of a sudden I'm turning around killing myself. And we see the effects of this. And we see that even now with these the people is making so the politicians is making so you think this dope and stuff is getting here and some black guy is going to pick it up at the boat. Hell no. That I mean you got it's just so much to it. But yeah, y'all understand what I'm saying. Drugs have destroyed many a community, a community, a whole states across this country, all over the world. Except they deal with them different. In Afghanistan, they just put you out in the desert with a whole bunch of other junkies and leave you out there. Let's keep moving. So Galatians 5 and 19. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanliness, lasciviousness. Right? I mean, it's idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seduction, heresies, right? All these other, that's what we see right now running rampant, especially the variance, because you can't tell nobody nothing. Envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, such alike of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Yahuwah. But guess what? As we see, we've seen these judgments covering all these type of situations. See? So it'll be a good idea to take heed. Now, verse 21, you shall not wrong a sojourner or oppress him, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. But who can we oppress but each other? Strangers come here, they get way more than we get. So we know this already. But y'all had this set up because of the fact we always had strangers around us. See, but we not supposed to treat them bad. We not supposed to talk down to them. We not supposed to y'all some crackers and y'all devils. Man, this man might be walking more in covenant than you are. You're not supposed to do that. Every white person is Esau. Verse 22 through 24. You shall not mistreat any widow or fatherless child. If you do mistreat them and they cry out to me, I will surely hear their cry, Yahuwah says, and my wrath will burn, and I will kill you with the sword, and with your wives shall become widows, and your children gonna become fatherless. That ain't justice, but we see in this country, do they really care about the orphans and the widows? See, she got two mites in her hand. She gave more than everybody else. He said he gonna be hot about that. And we see the destruction that's happening to America and everywhere that flies that eagle on their flag or their banner. Just real simple stuff. And people don't even realize you want some good blessings. You want to get some of these sins off your back. Go down there to these shelters, go down here to these orphanages, help that old lady over there, her grass tall. You can't even see in the yard. Go cut that lady's grass and tell her, oh, ma'am, don't worry about it. Every time I cut my grass, I cut your grass. But see, we don't do that because we just got done reading how we hate our neighbor, how we hate our own brother and sister. So if you lend money, verse 25, to any of my people with you who is poor, you shall not be like a money lender to him, and you shall not extract interest from him. Right? But we do that to each other, and guess what? They do it to us too. Ain't nothing you can get that you ain't paying interest on. Your house, your car, they even give you a credit card so they can, exact interest on you. But we not supposed to be doing this to each other. Not at all. Hmm. Loan sharking and all these things. I just still can't see nothing wrong with what we've been reading. If ever you take your neighbor's cloak and pledge, you shall return it to him before the sun goes down, for that is his only covering, and it is his cloak for his body. And what else shall he sleep? And he cries to me, I will hear, for I am compassionate. Y'all even worried about how you be at night when you sleep, how he try to make it so he wants you to be, even if you outdoors. But that's what a lot of these people was. They was traveling, they here, they there. And they wasn't rich and this is what destroyed us right now in this era anyway, is the fact of money and material thing. They didn't have that. This man might be somebody that's traveling from farm to farm working, eating and getting some type of lodging. But he need his cloak, and we showed y'all this before about how important this cloak is. In biblical times, cloaks were essential garments, serving both practical and symbolic purposes. A cloak was typically a large outer garment made of wool or other materials, providing warmth and protection from the elements. It was an important piece of clothing for people in ancient Israel and surrounding regions. And we see the apostles, they are here somewhere outside at night, Mashiach teaching them, and guess what? They got their cloak that they carry around with them. That's what all that draping over the shoulder and arm is. That was the extra garment to keep them warm at night. And that's how compassionate Yahuwah is. Some of them now get that man his coat down before the sun go down. Okay, you can come back and take it again tomorrow, but until he pays his debt, y'all do that. But at night, he need his cloak. Man, I just don't see it. So, love for their king. Isaiah 62. Behold, Yahuwah has proclaimed to the ends of the earth. Say to the daughter of Zion, see your Savior comes. Look, his reward is with him, and his recompense goes before him. Make amends to someone for loss or harm suffered. All right, compassionate. Let's look at this. His recompense, see? Because he understood that. To make amends for loss or harm that we suffer, to compensate us. We just got to grab hold of it. Matthew 21:7. They brought the donkey and the colt and laid their cloaks on them, and Yahshua sat on them. A massive crowd spread their cloaks on the road, while others cut branches from the street and spread them on the road. The crowds that went ahead of him and those that followed were shouting, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of Yahuwah. Hosanna in the highest. So they knew about it. So a lot of the people they understood who their king was, and then you had some that didn't. That was under the power of the Pharisees. But like he said, but as many of them as did, he gave power to become the sons and daughters of Yahuwah. Because they understood he came to make amends. Let's keep moving. 28. You shall not revile Yahuwah nor curse a ruler of your people. Well, people don't even believe in Yah right now. Ain't doing all kind of things. And you got people that get mad when they lose a loved one. Like this man, some God of love you are. Why did you do this? Okay, not thinking about how wicked that person could have been. They could have been a pedophile, a murderer, a rapist, whatever. Judgment came. Let's keep it moving. Verse 29, you shall not delay to offer from the fullness of your harvest and from the outflow of your presses. The firstborn of your sons you shall give to me. You shall do the same with your oxen and with your sheep. 7 days it shall be with you. It shall be with his mother. On the 8th day you shall give it to me. All firstborn, all first fruits, all these things. And this is what we give to him to say, Father, we thank you so much for all that you do for us and all these wonderful judgments that you have given us to keep us safe and to keep our community safe from all type of different crimes. We thank you for this, for life, health, right? For our cloaks that you give us, for the food that you provide. Man, this Elohim is something else, man. He's so wonderful. Now, it's the last one. You shall be consecrated to me. So we're supposed to be set apart. So again, we know if we are consecrated to him while we going through these judgments, we can see that whose mind is consecrated and whose not. You shall not eat any of the flesh that is torn by a beast in the field. You shall throw it to the dogs. And I know people do that because years ago, I worked at a steel plant and up in Western New York. And when people would hit deers, it was a certain guy that would get roadkill and come in and cut it up and bring it into the plant, throw it up on the furnace and eat it. But I'm just saying. So again, Yah's word is true. Maybe because at the age I'm at, I've seen a lot of things and I can relate to some of these things that most people might not be able to. I don't know, but I don't see anything wrong with what we've seen so far. So these words would take the veil off your eyes and train you to receive your crown, but you will have to fight for it. Because you're going to have to fight yourself and everything else around you to understand. But this, so again, we have not in this part two of these breaking these judgments down. Still, I don't see one thing that I can argue with. So the next class will be chapters 23 through 24. Thank you for your time. Yah, Father Yah, we just come before you as always, asking for mercy and forgiveness. We ask that, Father, whoever does come up and look at this video, Father, that they can see how plain, how honest, and how pure, and how upright and full of justice your judgments are. And Father, we just thank you for putting in our mind to put this class together with the help of the Ruach to show others how merciful and kind you truly are and how we need judgments in our life for correction sometimes, but again, for peace. So we thank you, Father, for the Ruach HaKodesh that leads and guides in all truth. And also we, Father, always thank you for Yahushua HaMashiach, the ultimate love gift. These things we ask, Father, as we magnify the name of Yahuwah always. In Yahushua HaMashiach's name we pray. Hallelujah. All right, then. I guess to the next time. To the next time we see you. Shalom. Shalom.